Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Do you want the good news first, or do you want the bad news first?
Oh my God, what is this like?
It's a simple question. Do you want the good news first or the bad news first?
It just feels like somebody's gonna like attack me from behind.
Jeff, there's nothing behind you but a wall and a couch and a chair. Mm-hmm. Do you want the good news or the bad news?
Okay. I'll take the bad news first.
The bad news is, do you remember that we agreed that if we got one person on the podcast, that would be our last episode ever?
Yes, but I also don't remember who that was.
It was AJ Calloway.
Oh, right. Oh,
and the bad
no.
news
Yeah,
is...
I got some bad news, yeah.
he was let go from...
Extra,
the TV show.
Yeah.
Because of...
he put some extra hands on some...
Listen, there were allegations against him, and he is no longer an ideal guest for us.
No, I don't think that there is...
So the bad news is...
The thing is, there are a lot of stories that we can talk to him about. The problem is, I don't think that those are the kind of stories that I want to talk to him about.
the bad news is, I don't think that we're gonna be... I don't think we're gonna be able to finish this podcast and run anytime soon. You want the good news, or you just want to call it? The good news.
Oh, yeah.
The good news, Jeff,
is
that we had an exceptional week in terms of last week's guest, Rick Ross.
By the way, thank God I asked for the bad news first.
Rick Ross is on the podcast, and man, the response across the internet was fantastic. And I just want to shout out everybody who tuned in, everybody who spread the word. And man, there were a lot of you who posted about this on Instagram and on YouTube and on Twitter and just everywhere. A lot of people who texted us and called us and let us know that we did an A+ job with an A+ artist, and that made your boys feel real good. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, we got some extra credit.
We had a great time with Ross. He was up here for an hour and a half. He came basically by himself. He answered all questions.
Basically. I mean, listen.
His driver was outside and his security guard was outside.
But they weren't inside, which is...
They were not here.
He was by himself.
Yes. He was here by himself, did not tell us to not ask any questions. He was funny and open and honest. And, you speak to people who listen, more closely to our podcast than maybe anybody. Our brother Dan... Shinsuke, my college roommate John. A lot of people were like, I know you guys promised him to be a certain level of honest and open, and he exceeded that. And for that, I mean, you can't really ask for anything more. That was really, really dope to experience and to put out there, and so glad that it resonated with all you guys out there. And in case you were wondering what Ross looked like when Jeff and I were telling stories, or whether he found us funny, or whether he was, dead serious when he was saying certain things,
or whether he knocked over certain books of ours when he was so excited and flailing his arms.
You will be able to see all of that soon, because we got it recorded for video, and everybody asking to see the interviews. Well, this is one that we felt was deserving of that, and youtube.com/ItsTheReal is where you will find that very soon. youtube.com/ItsTheReal. It's a momentous episode for sure. But I think that a lot of times people look at like one of those bucket list guests and figure that's the end of the road. And the truth is it's not.
Because AJ Calloway.
that is really the end of the road. But for us, here we are back again. It's another week. It's another chance to get someone up here to have another great conversation. It's also another week where we're booking and editing and cleaning up the apartment and promoting and doing the rest of the stuff that a regular business does. And I want to say that there are times when it can be tedious. There are times when it can be like heavy and feel like the weight that is a two-man operation. But on the other hand, there's small things, at least, and maybe you can speak to what you get joy out of, but this weekend, I spent some time in Photoshop and created a couple of T-shirts. You had already created one, so a total of 3 T-shirts. And doing that brought me so much joy. Again, it uses my brain in a different way. I am able to express myself creatively all anew. And we have 3 brand new T-shirts that we are going to be rolling out in the weeks to come. Shout out to our guy Gil, who's helping with the production, and shout out to us for actually doing this. And shout out to everyone out there who let us know their sizes, because we have a lot of t-shirts and we want to get them to you.
Yeah, now just let us know your credit card information.
That's right.
And, you know, that's
But I think the way that we want to sort of roll them out is that the first people able to get these
will be the ones who subscribe to the newsletter.
So how can people do that?
If you go to ItsTheReal.com, ItsTheReal.com, go sign up for the newsletter. There's a prompt.
Yeah.
We make it very easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a lot of searching.
And by the way, you're not only just going to be able to buy t-shirts first, you get other really good writing from Jeff.
Oh my God.
You get pictures, you get
talk about some real good news here.
Playlists and different experiences that you get to bring to life through your prose.
You are taking this newsletter, this I don't want to say shitty newsletter.
No, who said it's shitty?
No, I mean, like, it's just like, you know, I appreciate you thinking that there's all these different compartents to it, that there's like Rubik's cubes and it folds out.
Yeah,
and it
you
turns
are the
into a
logic
couch.
of newsletter writers.
I'm biracial. And it comes every 2 weeks and nobody ever unsubscribes. So I feel like it's good enough.
Well, good. Do people actually like respond to you?
Yeah, people respond to me.
Well, that's nice too.
And actually, here's the biggest thing. Like, nobody cares about any of the stuff that we ever talked about earlier, but we did a giveaway of 17 Bel Air Rosé bottles last week.
Unopened.
Yeah.
Real from the manufacturer.
And people are picking these things up.
That is great.
So it's a giveaway.
It is. It is a...
If you want stuff that we're going to give away, subscribe to the newsletter.
ItsTheReal.com is where you can get that. Jeff, another week, another guest up here in our Upper West Side apartment. And this is somebody who...
4 years. 4 years. 4 long years.
At least.
Of trying to get Big K.R.I.T up here. And finally...
Here he is.
Live
and in person. Also, by the way, showed up himself.
Yes, but somebody did come and join him. Steve-O came in the middle of the podcast.
But Big K.R.I.T for everybody who's been asking, and I believe he's the #1 most requested guest.
Well, there's 2 ahead of him.
Wait. Still 2?
Well, now there's 1. But the other one is Griselda Records people. Yeah. And then number 4 is probably Bill Bellamy.
There you go.
But number 1 is, you know.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, Big K.R.I.T came up here. He talked about a lot of things, his whole career. His new album, K.R.I.T is here. Jeff, when do you want to get into this episode?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. 10 bag bitches, and they after me, a.k.a. the mailman.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Getting Head from Birds, a.k.a. Dumb and Dumber.
Hey, it's your cousin, Big K.R.I.T third coast represent, a.k.a. is going down in the side. You feel me, man? Going Tyler on to the fullest.
Yeah, and this is your third favorite podcast. Waste time with It's The Real. K.R.I.T, what's happening?
Shit, I'm tripping.
Yo, it's
over the introduction.
Oh, yeah. Some things never change.
I know, but it's like, God damn.
Yo, congratulations on your new album. I've been listening to it a lot, and let me tell you something. I think there's a theme that goes along through it, which is that you're good with who you are.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's always seemed to the outsider to be comfortable with who you are, you do something different, you put your product out there, you present it the way you want. What was the big change that made this okay to put it out there?
Man, I would say, I mean, now, I'm first off independent. You become independent, you get off the label, and then the idea to actually work with other producers for real. Because I only produced 1 record on the album.
Yeah.
I worked with Rico Love. As far as he co-executive produced the album along with my manager. And it's like creating this collective effort to kind of get away from. I've been telling this story like for years, right? It's like, man, let me create something where I'm in the moment now. I'm happy. I'm excited. And just kind of veer away from the story for a second, right? And so we did the TDT project. We saw what the response was from Texas, Energy, Pick Yourself Up. And I'm like, damn, I could just make free. I could just be free. I could just make music. It don't have to be this crazy story throughout the whole thing. And from that point, it's like, man, I just want to work with other producers. And I got in there like, man, play me our best beats. And then I'm right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm writing. And it was exciting, man.
But even from the standpoint of like on Make It Easy.
Yes.
And you're talking your shit.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you believe your shit.
Of course I do.
And but it's like you don't have to like necessarily put it out there and go after anybody else. You're just like, look, Here's what I can
I
do.
got facts.
And I'm nicer than everybody out
Let's
there.
go. Hey, let's go. Let's go. I mean, but it even going back to like being able to feature a BB King on a record, right? Like there was things that would happen in my career that people might not have been paying attention to. I'm like, man, this is historic for me. Like this is amazing. Even being on Def Jam and having a like talking about #1 hip hop album at the time, and I'm a country artist, like Southern artist, nobody's paying attention, and they like, wow. But it's just always breaking these molds or kind of proving people wrong or doing things that people don't expect me to do. And it's like, oh, you super exceeded our expectations to the maximum. And then to leave off of Def Jam, then drop Forever's a Mighty Long Time and do what we did with that. Then to be in this album, and I'm on Times Square and we independent. Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
But for a long time, you have a chip on your shoulder.
course.
You do come from,
the South.
from the South, but from like a
Country,
state that's
Mississippi.
not necessarily like known for its hip hop, besides like David Banner and some other people.
Yeah.
You
Ray Sharma, we
you
thought about that.
yeah
Yeah.
you are off a major label,
Yep.
so it's like another chip to prove. You know, you have like people who may believe what they believe, and that's another chip on your shoulder. But you seem so comfortable now
Yeah.
in your life. We both watched and loved your video with your father.
Hey, thank
Like
you. Thank you.
that you put out on Father's Day.
Yep.
And it was just you two sitting out in LA talking about like real life.
Yeah.
So where are you at in your life that you're just like, I want to talk my shit but also live my shit?
Man,
But also like reveal your shit.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, cause you know you get caught up in this like superhero thing that you go through with. I think not only in music but entertainment industry in general. And so for me, it's like I don't mind telling people where I've come from, how I got here. It might be people that got put onto my music based off of 1999 or Subbenstein, and I got a long list of projects before that, or they might have heard Addiction and like. So I have to start putting out and documenting what I went through and how it was for me, just so they can learn. Like this wasn't overnight. Like my first beat I ever made was 1999. First project I ever dropped that people started to recognize 2005. I got signed 2010. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can see the progression in me becoming like less metaphoric in my verses and more factual, which changes things. I mean, you know, similes, punchlines are great, but am I giving you something that you can actually take from my music, from my verses, and apply it to what you're going through in life? Or even when you walk up to me like, man, what did you mean by this line? I can actually break it down. And it's not this overwhelming superhero dramatic thing that I said. Like, damn, bro, of course you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Or you could just go on Genius and annotate the shit.
damn, I could do that too. Damn, I've never done it. Man, you right about that shit. But yeah, I could do that. But for me, it's like verbally being able to sit down and actually talk to people and express how I feel and make it easy is just once again me like being able to factually say like I never had a hit, but I have sell out tours. Like I sell hard ticket sales. Like and most people can't do that. Like,
Well, do you think you connect with Cole on that level too? Because he's
Definitely.
somebody who's lived that journey as well.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. I am. But the difference between, and I would say, again, it's like being from Mississippi and trying to figure out which way you're gonna go geography wise is a little different. Because I gotta go from Mississippi and I might go to Alabama and then I go to Atlanta, and then I'll make my way to the East Coast and then I might come to the West Coast, or I go to Texas. You know what I'm saying? And then I make my way to the West Coast and then end up back on the East Coast. I think Cole was able to just, I'm gonna go to the East Coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
he
it's-
went to college up here.
Yeah,
so like that
so,
was
I mean, so for me, it's like, where do I go with this music, and how do I make people understand that where I'm from, there's lyrical ideas, there's a conceptual thing there. Like, I know that little brother come from, you know, the Carolinas. I know that Knife got the beat. Like, I'm aware of that. But when you from where you gonna be like David Banner.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
you know, but now we in blues. We BB King, Muddy Water. Now we talking about a kind of music that doesn't really resonate with what I do per se.
Yeah.
So just trying to bridge that gap and improve myself and kind of make and give other artists from Mississippi like the idea, like, man, you can make it however, you know, you can stay here or you can use social media, you can go East Coast, West Coast, you just gotta believe in your sound.
Who was the first person that you did see like come out of your town?
It's gonna be David Banner though. But he was from Jackson, but he would literally travel up and down Mississippi, red van. He's making the beats in his van and he's rapping off his records too.
Was he the first person? I mean, like even outside of hip hop.
I would say, I mean, I knew David Ruffin, yeah, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Because that was before my time.
Yeah.
So like you learn the history of it.
Yeah, you're not 50 something.
Nah, you know what I'm saying? Like you learn the history. Like, yeah, David Banner was from Meridian. And then BB King was like, my grandmother put me on the BB King. So that was one person from Mississippi that you could be like, Yeah, but I mean, I'm growing up in Bone Thugs and Harmony is playing and Biggie, so hip hop is like for me like that's what I'm going through.
Yeah, it's in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm only paying attention to people that can make it in that genre.
So Meridian, Mississippi it seems like a very company town. Like there's 2 Army bases down there, right?
Yeah, we a city. Stop
Yeah.
it. It seems like a company
Well,
town.
no, but it seems like that's the biggest business there.
It's a college, like Meridian Community College, called Harvard on the Hill.
Okay, all right,
Look,
right
man,
on.
look, don't make me start. Don't get me started. You know what I'm saying? Like we a city.
Yeah,
Okay.
but okay. So you got the Army, you have the education.
Okay.
But you also have
Sorry, we didn't realize there's titans of industry.
Yeah.
No, see, we got Lockheed.
Yep.
We got PV speakers.
Okay.
Chill.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put y'all on some game, man.
But you got arts down there too, and recreation, and it's a real place to live.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
But it's different living down there. So what is growing up in Meridian like for you?
I mean, it helps you appreciate your day. I mean, because I don't spend 2 hours in traffic in Meridian, Mississippi. Like I spend like 15 minutes roughly. Don't say it like that. 15 minutes roughly getting from point A to point B. My family is there. And people don't mind sharing their experiences to keep you from like whether positive or negative to keep you from getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Between the family barbecues and the interactions, it's a humbling thing. Like it makes you appreciate the very small, bare minimum stuff that you had in the beginning. And if you gain anything more than that, you want to share with everyone.
So what'd your folks do for a living?
Well, my dad worked at a grocery store for years, Food Max. Before it was Food Max, I think it couldn't have been Piggly Wiggly, but it was Food Max. My mom worked in retail as far as clothes and stuff. She's a school teacher now. She teaches 3rd grade kids. My dad works on the railroad now, so he conducts trains.
Right on.
And so that even is an elevation from what they were doing back when I was growing up.
For you creatively as a kid,
Yeah.
where was your mind at? How were you expressing yourself?
Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an athlete. Like I played baseball when I was in band too. I played the cello from 5th to 7th grade, and I played the tuba from 7th till I graduated from high
So
school.
only heavy instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like bigger than you.
So
Yeah.
let me tell you something about that. So if you get a cello, the school gives you the cello because it's only so many cellos you can have. It's obviously a super expensive instrument.
Yeah.
So boom. If you play the tuba, you only have to buy the mouthpiece, $75. They give you the tuba. They give you the sousaphone. I couldn't afford a viola, a violin. I damn sure couldn't afford a trumpet, trombone. So I took the instruments that the school would give me.
Did you bring it home?
Definitely. I would walk. Now I sound like my grandparents.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I would walk
Uphill
a
both
mile and a
ways.
half.
Yeah.
But if I showed that, I walk a mile and a half with a cello on my back. By
Or
the
a
time
sousaphone on your shoulder?
No.
Oh, okay.
So by the time I got to high school, then I'm taking the bus to the crib.
Yeah.
But the crib wasn't as far as you would think. So I would have this cello strap, and I would walk uphill all the way to my grandmother's house
Wow.
with a cello on my back. And then
Wow.
I
With,
would
like-
annoy her
Yeah.
trying to play these low bass lines with a cello in the house.
Yo,
Fucking like-
yeah.
Yeah. It's real. It's real.
Fucking like 90 degrees down in Mississippi.
Was it 90 degrees? Yeah, shit, it was humid too. I mean, but global warming didn't exist back then. So shit, it was natural, it was regular.
Yeah.
Shit's a little weird now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in band, but you also
Yeah.
got a baseball career.
Yeah. Thank you for saying baseball
And
career.
and you were pretty nice.
I was definitely nice.
You
Fuck
know,
that.
threw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
How you? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. But it was
Something light.
Yeah, you know.
I threw a no hitter in the All Star. I hit the home, the game winning home run. All Star. We won state.
Oh,
championship.
two-way player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Well,
I was 145 pounds, power hitter though. It's
Well,
crazy.
in high school, the best player, offensively is also, the best pitcher.
Yeah, obviously I was able to outdo my brother and go varsity, my oldest brother. So he got cut, but I went varsity, and I was like probably 13 or 14 or some shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so life is like, I was on the field.
Were
And
you
I
just a power pitcher, or did you have some movement on your?
No, I threw 3/4, so I could never throw overhand. I still can't throw overhand now.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I broke my collarbone when I was like 10.
Oh,
So
maybe
throwing
that's it.
overhand's weird,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But 3/4 is what I did. I pitched. I played shortstop. Played left field. I was a catcher for predominantly most of my baseball career. My knees are still bad now.
Is that
Knee
right?
savers came in when I was in 10th grade. Yeah, and so
Damn.
I needed those way back when.
Damn.
Yeah, and they put me on first base. My eyes got bad, and then Steve-O's here.
Yeah. Shout out to Steve.
Shout out to Steve.
Yeah.
Wait, couldn't it be that your knees are bad because you were carrying a
A
80-pound
cello?
cello on
Yeah,
your back?
yeah.
Never thought of it like that. And I was still playing baseball back then.
Yeah.
What up? How are you?
What's going on? What's happening? How are you? So you're killing it
Yes.
on the baseball diamond.
Yes.
did you think that was going to continue into further education and maybe into a professional career?
Man, my cousin was way colder than me. He was older than me. He played actually at MCC. And once I saw what happened with him, and he was definitely supposed to go pro, like, shit, I ain't gonna make it.
Well,
and I started like...
yeah, what happened with him?
I mean, it's just the politics of, like, minor league is rough, man. It's
Yeah.
like, it ain't like, oh, you playing basketball, you do 1 year in college, and boom, you might get the chance to go straight to the pro. Even G League is better, but the minors is like, you talking about AA, AAA, it take years to get to that. You on
Nothing's
bus,
assured.
the money
Yeah.
is like different, like, and so that's 3 tiers before you get to go to the pros. So yeah, but for me, it's like I remember going to Atlanta, and when I was like 15, 16, I was still in high school, still playing ball, and I made $600 off 10 beats. And I was like, yeah, I'm making music.
How'd you make those beats?
I made those beats off of Reason. I had Reason at the time.
Wow.
So the dude paid. He obviously was going to the strip club a lot because he paid me. It was like this big ass like container that you would normally have like snacks in or some shit.
Yeah.
It was like mad ones and shit. So I cashed and I was like, oh, this is $600. I went back to the crib. I bought 3 khaki with Dickie outfits.
Yeah.
I got them airbrushed and I bought like the new Paul Pierces and some Umbro shoes and shit and like fitted caps that said Crit. Yeah, and I was shining.
And,
Yeah.
and that cash was all gone.
That was all it was
Yeah.
all gone, but
Yeah.
that was
But
the
you still had the
beginning.
container.
That was the beginning,
Yeah.
like shit. I still had the container too.
So you were like, this is the way to go.
This is where I'm going.
Did you know anybody who was rapping like full time back home?
Yeah, I was producing for most of the acts that was at the crib. I actually like produced 2 or 3 projects when I was at home. I produced my own. I was the reason why my partner actually bought an ADAT machine.
Wow.
I was able to get him on Tascam and then onto Pro Tools. And at that point, he was like, yo, you could just have like all the equipment. And I started making beats and recording myself in my house. And that's how See Me on Top 1 came out.
Where was your, home studio?
In the den of my grandmother's house.
And how did she feel about this?
That's interesting. So I just touched down at probably like at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had school the next morning. I'm trying not to play the music out loud, so it's all in my headphones.
Yeah.
But I need to hear the bass. Like I need to feel it. And my grandmother's like sleep. And I know I'm gonna wake her up, but it's like, fuck it, I gotta hear this. And I just touched down. It was like one of the first records that really popped off for me. The next day over, I played it for minus the lyrics because I was cussing a lot. And she started jitterbugging, which is this dance they used to do back when she grew up. And I was like, this is it. This is a hit.
Wow.
And that was one of the first records that I was performing that really took off for me, that made on mixtapes and shit.
Where was the first place you performed?
Shit. Oh, man. Pool Palace at Atlanta. No, that's a lie. Okay. Westler Community Center, which is literally, I can walk to it across the street from my house.
Uphill?
No, straight across on 30th Avenue. I walk across the street, and that was the first place I performed. It was a real performance. Other than that, I was in bars and shit. I was like 14. I had no business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we was freestyling all the performances.
How big was the first like actual performance for you?
It was crazy because they thought I was from Atlanta. Because it was an artist from Atlanta that was performing there. I went to the store. I had this full-blown LRG outfit on. Everybody was wearing like 2Xs, 3Xs. So they grabbing on me. They grabbing on my pants. So this is fucking crazy. And I had this song called Adidas Ones in the club that was circulating in my city. I think they thought I was from Atlanta. So people taking off their Adidas and they actual Nike Ones and like showing them when the song came on. Shit was crazy.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you lived across the street.
I lived across the street. Like I walked home after that.
People thought you lived in Atlanta.
Definitely. I think so. Because I mean, it's just the allure of it. Like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. You
By the
came
way,
from here. Yeah.
Just for the record, you're wearing a Deion Sanders jersey and a Falcons hat right now.
That's no look. First off, this is Michigan.
Yo,
This
you've
is Venice.
changed. You've changed
First
so
off, this
much.
is Venice. Mississippi does not have a professional team.
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to be the first person to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, either you get to choose between the Saints or the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I personally like Deion Sanders as a person, prime time, and I have this jersey.
Did
So I wore it.
you follow him to the 49ers and to the Cowboys?
Definitely.
And to the Redskins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
you-
not to the Redskins.
Okay, yeah.
Stopped at the Cowboys.
Yeah, sorry, the
Then I
Washington
call- I'm sorry,
team.
then
Yeah,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you follow him to his MTV hit?
I remember he was rapping though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember
Prime
the song.
time.
Yeah, prime time.
It was
So-
probably jamming though.
Oh, I'm
I hope we
sure.
were jamming. Shout out to the homie.
Yo, by the way, Killer Mike told us that Deion Sanders, like, by himself changed nightlife in Atlanta.
Seriously,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. He was everything
when he
back
was
then.
wildin'.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, don't get too descriptive.
So,
Okay.
so when you are looking for colleges, where were you like considering?
I went to Meridian Community College for 2 years. I dropped out three months before I could get my associate degree in architecture.
Right.
Well, yeah. And
So
when drafting,
you seem like a very left brain kind of guy, right? You're creative, right? But also you have this, I guess, for architecture, you got to be good with the right side of your brain as well.
Because it's math.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No.
drafting is. I think architecture is like the dream of building a building. I think the drafter comes in and be like, man, that shit ain't possible.
No.
And it's like breaking it down. Like, man, I really want to build this on top of a triangle. Like, nah, bro. Let's get physics together.
Right.
And so I'm in class, and I remember being in physics, and the teacher was like, yeah, so we're gonna do this. A train leaves from New York at this time, and one leaves from Los Angeles at this time. At what point will they meet? And then I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I'm not gonna take this class. And so that was the beginning of me like, you know what? This might not work for me. And then I had like architects come through, and they had like literally worked for people for so long. And it's like, man, yeah, I'm 35 now. I'm finally starting to see what I'm like, man, that's not gonna work for me either. I need to get this shit now.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, when you look at the baseball career, you're like, oh, nothing's assured, Like you saw what your cousin was doing, and you're just like, nothing's guaranteed there. Architecture could have been that guarantee, and then you're like,
intern for 15 years. Oh, shit.
yeah, and you're like, I'm
I
gonna.
just made $600
Yeah.
in 15.
But nothing's assured there,
Yeah.
Certainly a kid from Mississippi, and then you went to Atlanta though.
Okay, listen to what you just said.
Yeah,
A kid from Mississippi, I went to Atlanta and I sold beats.
yeah,
And I came back with money. Off the rip, that seemed damn near impossible.
Right.
Because I'm watching 106 and Park, BT, The Basement, even going anywhere near that, I'm like, oh, that's not possible. I literally just traveled, never been this place before, and I made money off of my ideas creatively that I was in my grandmother's house with
Yeah.
her. So you couldn't tell me this wasn't possible everywhere else. And I knew that I wasn't as skilled as I needed to be. I was definitely a student of hip hop, so I know, my kick drums aren't loud enough. This isn't the cracking the snare. The sample isn't chopped and it's not delaying perfectly. So, I'm gonna get better. And then so it was at that point I was like, damn, they buying this. I can't wait till next year when I really master this shit.
What was your mastering process like? Were you just like hold off in that den and just like working?
It was just me realizing that if I tried to sign a publishing deal then, or if I tried to be up under somebody, that I wasn't going to be confident enough. I had the opportunity to sign back in 2005, and I turned it down because I didn't know why I was making what I was making. I just knew how to do it in the moment.
How did that deal come to you?
Because you get on a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? And back then, mixtapes was like the primary way to actually find an artist. It wasn't, a lot of social networking platforms didn't exist. Blogging really didn't even exist. Like,
Yeah.
The DJ dropping the mixtape was like, oh shit, who made that beat? So you get in a room with people and they expect you to create that again. I was like, man, I don't know how I just did that shit because at my grandmama's house it was quiet, and I was like, I knew I love this sample. So at that point, like my confidence isn't high enough for me to keep doing this. And so I turned the deal down. I struggled for another 5 to 6 years, and then Crit was it came out.
So in those 5 to 6 years,
that was a complete breakdown.
yeah. But in those 5 to 6 years, and you're working on your craft.
Yeah.
What was your day job?
I mean, I worked at Blockbuster up until 2004, and I quit. So my day job was mix engineering, producing entire mixtapes, and like beats.
So
I literally sold beats and mix engineered and like produced whole mixtapes with people up until Crit was here.
Did you sell any beats to anybody who was coming into Blockbuster?
Yes, actually, I did. Yeah, like because I was actually, I stopped working at Blockbuster in 2004. I was producing for a lot of people in my city from 2001 to 2004. We had a Screwed Up clique. Shout out to Screw and SUC. It was called MTSDC, M-Town Slow Down Clique. So I produced most of that. It was a lot of artists I was making beats for.
So a lot of CDs that you're burning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, Office Depot changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I go in
The
there.
spindle and
Oh my God! Like I have a CD. I burn everything in my crib. I had it was green covers. My first project was coming out hard, and coming down, and then literally everything was mixed by me, produced by me. I'm freestyled. I'm screwed up. I'm selling it at my school.
Critical Productions.
Critical
Yeah.
Productions.
So
Yes,
yeah. Well, did you work at Blockbuster because it was just a job, or were you like really into movies?
that was my first job, but before I definitely was in the movies. But the side of town I was playing baseball on, after I have a really great game, my dad would take me to Blockbuster, and then we rent whatever video game I wanted.
Right on. So what kind of movies were you into?
Man, when I got to Blockbuster, I watched over 250 of them.
Really?
I started at A and just started going through. So
Damn.
I'm a movie buff.
That's awesome. Still to this day.
Yes, I
A
watched
lot of shitty
several
movies.
Yes, but I mean, you get concepts, ideas. Yeah, it changes the narrative of film. I think people that make movies now drop movies like mixtapes off to rappers. Like I've seen Bruce Willis and drop like 7 movies, and then he'll come out with a main one.
Yeah.
It's like this is the album, and then the other ones like mixtapes and shit.
Well, when we had Green Lantern, when we had DJ Green Lantern up here, we were like it's weird to think, but the way that he would compose different like beats and the way he would switch and like get creative was a humongous influence on our whole career.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and you know, you look at someone like that, or you just say that out loud, and people are just like, "That's weird," but it's 100% true. Like his creativity, the way that he worked,
the way that he would like take snippets of different songs and put them together. It was just like, oh, like that's my
that's how you can like
it's
change
so
your
smart.
thinking.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
for you to take like, you know, oh, maybe that's how a story is told in terms of like that movie, or like that's how I can swing this way, has to be just like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Boobie Miles story, like Friday Night Lights, I was obviously definitely watching movies then, but on top of that, I'm watching There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, No Country for Old Men.
Oh,
Like,
that was
my
an
friend told
amazing
me,
year,
like,
by the way.
Yeah.
It was.
Which is your favorite of those two?
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, it's a
No,
great
no,
one.
no.
I was about to say there's
Nah, I
no
just
wrong
thought about
answer.
that.
There's no wrong answer.
I would say There Will Be Blood though, because it's it's just the idea of greed and what it'll make you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get everything you want, it's like, damn, you didn't get anything at all.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
So when you finally, in your mind, break through,
Okay.
where are we at on the timeline?
I mean, I don't know, bro. It's a whole new resurgence based off this album.
No, totally. But but I'm saying like
in general.
I'm saying like the 2005, 6, 7 area. Where are you at? And when do you feel like even the smallest thing is going your way, and you're just like, ooh, I see daylight.
I went to I had a show in Atlanta. It was at this small club. I'm performing "Children of the World." They know every word, and it's like I think one of my first sold out shows.
Because they know you're from Atlanta. So
No, oh my God, no! I have the jersey on. They know I'm from Mississippi.
That's right.
But we had this small club, and they literally know every word of "Children of the World." And when it break down, it goes a cappella, and I didn't have to say anything. And I was like, oh, it's changing now. This is different. And then being able to tour, man. We went on tour with Wiz after that. Then I did Return of Forever tour. It was me, Jackie Chan, Freddie Gibbs.
Oh, man.
Smoke Dizzle was out there. You know what I'm saying? Mookie Jones, Big Son. You know what I'm saying? Steve-O, Wally Sparks.
Yeah.
Dutch. And just, we selling our venues sometime. Then we in Ithaca, New York, and it's 32 people in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just being there like, damn, man, we way up here. And people know the music. And so, yeah, that was like the beginning. Like, damn, this shit's crazy.
What did it mean to you to be signed to Def Jam at that time? I know it means something different now.
Yeah, on a hip hop level, man, it's a dream come true. I mean, to me, it's like when a soul singer signs to Motown or something like that, right?
David Ruffin.
Nah,
Yeah.
hey. But it's one of those situations too where I think people you get caught up in the dream of getting on the radio, signing a deal, and then you don't realize the work really comes once that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then how do you transform that into promoting your brand, making sure that once that is over, you are still like you still got chores and you've promoted yourself and your independence, and people are still gonna keep going with you. And so Def Jam was a rocky road because I wanted to keep my creative control. I knew where I wanted to go musically. If I would have waited a year later, the deal would have been different. L.A. Reid signed me.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks after he signed me, he was no longer there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a transition. But the upside is I learned how to really maneuver through when some things don't go the way you want to, like, or the budget isn't there, or how do we keep promoting, or if this what you believe in, go for it. And then you deal with the risk and reward later. And I think moving in independently now, my team and any artist that comes my way, I know how to deal with that. I'm like, man, this is what I want. This is what I want to drop. Like, well, if that's how you feel about it, we're gonna figure out where to place, like push it, where to place
Yeah,
it.
I mean, like your situation at Def Jam is very similar to our situation at MTV, where it was just like, you know, we did the videos on YouTube and everything, and then like, when we were just like so determined to get an MTV show, we were just like so determined to get a TV show in general, and then when it happened. And the executive who bought our show 2 weeks later left.
It was like you never think it's gonna happen to you, but it ends up in that situation. And then people come in who are just like, you know,
They don't even know.
They're
No.
reading the script. This 100% true. They read the script and they're just like, what's this Jewish word on like page like 20? And we're looking down. We're like, there's no Jewish word on page 20. They're like, no, the one that starts with an N at the top. We're like, Nardwar? And they have no idea at music television
Yeah.
who Nardwar is or what Nardwar is. And we're just like, this can't be life.
Or like when we were on the phone with the new executive who literally said, I don't care that you guys do this hip hop thing. She's like, I want it to be about family. And we're like, this is MTV.
It's music television.
Yeah, like this is nuts. And you know, we had a big part for Rick Ross in there,
Yeah.
and they would call him Rick.
Like he was like our stepfather or something. We were just like,
No.
it's any name but Rick.
Yeah,
It's
Rose
Ross, it's
or like
Ross,
the
it's
boss.
whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was just like this makes no sense. But when you're in a
know.
situation
Yeah.
where you think it's gonna like play out exactly the way you
Yeah.
want, did you like play the game for them in terms of like, oh, okay, yeah, you go in the building, you got to like meet all the different, like the radio team, and you got to go meet the product manager, and you got to go meet like the different, you know, and say, yo, this is really why you should fuck with me and like my sound.
I mean, you obviously you're proving yourself. To me, it's not even playing the game. It's just like now you did all that hard work, and whoever signed you saw you doing that hard work, and then you brought it to the table, and your team was there, and then there's new people there. So now you got to kind of reprove yourself all over again. I realized things was weird when I walk into the building, and there's mad pictures of everybody that signed, and my picture's not on the wall.
Yeah.
Which just changes, and they're like, damn, they don't even think like nobody really knows. I'm in
Right.
this
Yeah.
building.
Right.
But you gotta understand, like, it's how passionate somebody. You passionate about your career and what you do. You've been doing it for years. You know exactly how you want to do it. For some people in that arena, that might be like their internship. That might be the beginning of their career. They might love this particular artist, and they got there because they want to work with that particular artist. And you're just this opportunity that comes aboard that they can prove themselves as well. And they may not put their 100% in, or they may not know if they're going to be there next week. And, you know, it becomes a scramble because I saw so many people leave, come, new faces, people, you know, presidents, all that. And it's like, damn, this is, you know, that's stressful on their end too. And so being in the position now that I'm independent and I'm free, it's like, man, we working because we know our jobs are solidified.
Right.
Yeah.
We do what we do.
No one's gonna fight for you like you.
Nah, exactly, man. You can't fire me from this.
Yeah.
Because multi is me. And
Yeah.
then, like same with my team. Like it's us. It's
By the way, I
family.
love on the new record the number of times you say multi.
Of course.
Even as ad libs, like, you know, it's like it's not even rhyming with it. You're just
Hey,
like,
man,
yo, let me put
why
that in there.
not,
too.
man?
It's great.
You know how many people when we left Def Jam was like, man, I didn't even know you was signed. So it's like it became multi as a brand in itself, and so I've been doing shows, touring. It's multi to the Sundial, multi alumni. Like it, the idea of it became bigger than me as an artist, and so I scream it because after me, people want to be kings remembered in their lives and queens remembered in their lives. So why not? Shit,
How did you come to the realization like I have to leave?
man, it was an interesting battle though, because I think after Catalactica. And then we were already moving pretty much independent anyway. The idea of having an A&R kind of changed at the time. I took 2 years off, and then at that point you start to see music change because streaming became a thing, and album sales weren't really popping. Vinyl records had kind of picked up, but I think everybody was kind of in between. Like, what is streaming? What does this mean? Oh, people are going platinum, but how does this equate to actual money? And I think they were trying to figure out, well, how many streams counts for an album sale? And so if you go do the analytics and you look at my imprints as an artist, if social media wise you're looking and you see like, oh, he didn't have 1 million, boom, 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 then maybe he's not as valuable on a streaming level. But they didn't realize when they let me go, like it was so many people that still like to physically go buy copies of an album. They don't really trust putting their credit card information, debit card information into social media or into any like platform to play music. They want to buy the album and physically have it. So once they let me go, it was like, oh, no, they still there. And then they're going to move over once the time comes because now you can't even find a car with a CD player in it. Damn.
Yeah.
And so it was just, I got lucky, man. I think they didn't realize. And then we dropped 12 for 12 the same day that I got let go. And then we just saw this complete resurgence of people that was already waiting on me to drop something new. It was difficult, though. I ain't gonna,
But let's go back to like your debut major label project.
Yep.
Live from the Underground.
Yes, sir. I was angry.
You were, but it felt
It was soulful.
it was soulful, and that's what I take from it,
Yeah.
right? And I think in that moment too, the internet felt like it was on your side, and it was like, yes, this is the voice that we need right now.
Okay.
in that moment when that dropped, where was your head at?
Well, I just came off a tour with Cole. We had dropped Forever in a Day. The actual single for Live from the Underground had came out in 2011, September actually, Monday on the Floor. So it was such this gap between when the album was supposed to come out, and music had literally changed from 2011 to 2012 when I dropped. Music had changed. There was like a more minor chord key progression thing going on. Triplet hi-hats was more introduced, and so it was like this is a shock because I'm coming through with sonically what I was prepared to drop in 2011. And so it was this battle, meaning I knew what I went through with sample clearancing. We're trying to get I got this here promoted in the way it needed to be. And so yeah, man, it was a difficult thing dropping that album because people had just saw me touring on Forever in a Day, then Cole, and then now we got the album, and some of the reviews weren't what we wanted. It put me in this space as far as like creatively, where I was like, man, how do I bring people to Mississippi without being so aggressive or angry? But then I went out on tour, and I realized like, oh no, it resonated, but you know, maybe it didn't get the reviews I wanted from this particular writer or this blogger, but they don't see all the people on the ground that bought these tickets and we selling out these shows. And I realized, no, they still there with me. And then when we got to working on Cal-Attica, I was like, man, I'm free. Like regardless of what the accolades and all my peers may get, like I have a foundation.
So when I say the J. Cole thing in the beginning, I see it as there's a lot of people who critically will say things about Cole or whatever, but the bottom line is he did the Dollar and a Dream thing with Lines Down the Block and turned that into, and that fan base into selling out Staples, selling out the Garden, and becoming a #1 artist.
Yes.
And so, and where I think we relate to your story as well, and I hope you can talk about this, is how tough it is being the first person through the door rather than like the third person through the door.
Yeah, I had a whole conversation with my homies about that. Sometimes being first isn't gonna pay off like you think. You know, because the idea is very raw. It's you outwardly going for it, but if you don't have the resources to take it to where it needs to be, then somebody may be inspired by it, which that's what life is, and it's flattering. And they might be able to take it there, and people finally figure it out or see it on a larger platform, and they like, oh, you're the first person to do it. And that came with a lot of growth as well, like being okay with that, like being an innovator, man. Like, you know, you've seen the movie Founders, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it just be like that sometimes. But if you're creative and you're always on the very first idea, or you're able to create in a way where it's like, damn, man, I never would have thought about that, you're gonna be able to get what you deserve over time. Like because people are gonna, how would I learn this? Like the way my music is now in structure, I'm writing based off of my life. I'm never gonna run out of things to talk about, because this is who I am. These are the conversations I'm having with people. If you're constantly taking from others, at some point you're gonna run out of substance. And then once you're in the front and people are expecting you to be like the first person to do something, then that's all based off of how you actually were, whether you were the person created in the first place or not, or were you just waiting in the whim like, oh, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's like, no, I got ideas, and I got music that hasn't came out yet that I like, maybe it's not time for that yet. You know? when you think back to your time at Def Jam, did you feel like there were people trying to move you in different directions than you wanted to go? I mean, that's just okay. I mean, I think you deal with that anytime anybody invests in you. Any job. I mean, obviously music, because radio is a totally different monster. And people, you know, like sonically, this is the frequency, this is what's working. You know what I'm saying? Like boom, boom, boom. Maybe you should try to go this direction. I was determined to keep my creative control. A lot of people you see around me now, obviously my manager Dutch, my marketing manager Steve-O, even running into Shop Money, is like recognizing that they were willing to just really be like, all right, bro, you want to produce this whole record? Fuck it. Like, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And then you start to see like, all right, I did it, but then I started to see what the risk and reward was. Right? It's like, oh, okay, I was able to do that. Then I'm talking with Cole 2012, and I'm playing the album for him, and he's like, hey, bro, you might want to get in with other producers because they're gonna help you grow as a producer. It's jamming, but it's different levels of you production. Like you might challenge yourself a little bit different.
Took him a while too to accept his own advice.
Like, man, but that's 2012, and then you go through those bumps in the road, and I'm able to say my first album I produced. But then you start to be like, man, I understand the fatigue in producing now. When I make the beat, I write the hook, and I'm like trying to write the words, and I'm like, man, I'm tired. Like I need to take a break, and it takes longer for me to create the album. Right? It takes 2 years. Sonically, it's not as big as it might need to be, or maybe my verse is like, I could have went harder there, but I was just kind of exhausted. Now it's like, nah, man, it's collective effort. It's working with people, and literally the producers that I'm around, like I'm looking at them like, damn, bro, I could have that snare do that, and I'm applying that to my production now. And then we all trading samurai secrets, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
When Cole did give you that advice at first, how did you take it?
Shit, I was like, bro, you know what this is. Like, you know I ain't gonna do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, cause there's a competitive nature that not only is in hip hop as far as rappers, but as producers too. And I literally study like certain producers in hip hop, and so I feel like, man, if I made it this far on my own production, then I'm gonna be where I need to be at that point. But I think there's still steps that I missed, and then there was a grit that I had. But then when you talking about playing your music in every venue, every car doesn't sound the same. I'm riding around with 215s in my shit knocking. If you factory in this motherfucker, this shit, you can't hear nothing I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
But is part of you just like, that's your fucking loss?
Nah, shit. Nah, when it comes to music, I'm supposed to want you to hear my music. Like Bobby Womack, Willie Hutch, Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye, they music sound the same in every car. I feel like they were like, nah, this shit sounds, musically, we're gonna get it together. But even Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, but I still want you to hear my words. Yeah. And I can see that because people are like, man, but I don't know what he's talking about. The lyrics are right there. I'm going to tell you something. This album, I'm clearer than a motherfucker. Shout out to Jason Joshua for the mixing. Shout out to my engineer, Michael, which also tags engineered by Wolf.
Did you go and listen on like stock headphones just to like...
Man, I didn't listen. I rented a rental car. Yeah. Like all kinds of shit. And I realized just how I was like... My car is made for how I like to listen to music. But again, music is universal. It's a language everyone speaks. And I can't expect everybody to go get them 15s, although I want you to.
Yeah.
Do you
change your life
for Uber drivers?
You know what? No. Sometimes I'll be like, man, how I know you ain't taking my shit? Like, where's this USB cord really going to? And I'd be like, man, you know what? Give me the USB. But then I'm Bluetooth. I'm like, but still, how do I know? Yeah. Somebody in between with that shit.
Do you get recognized by any like Uber drivers?
Lord, I hope not. Oh, yeah. If they taking me to my final destination, they taking me to my crib. No, I really don't want to get recognized right now. That'd be awkward. Like, bro, I really loved your last performance, man. Have a good night. Yeah. My fucking crib.
You've worked with a lot of legends. Yeah. Bun B is one of our mutual friends.
Oh my God, the OG.
What was it like to oversee his whole project?
Yeah, the co-executive with that with Queen. It was amazing, man. Because again, and I've told this story a number of times. But I don't think people understand. Like, I could have a full-blown conversation with Bun. The beat is playing, and he will write the verse, and then he'll be done with it. And he'll be like, yo, I'm ready. And I'm like, well, when did you write it? Like, I wrote it. Like, but we were just talking. We talking about Gumball and shit. He telling me about some old UGK experiences or just life or something he might experience just the other day at like the sneaker summit. And like, fuck it, I got the verse. Let's go. And sure enough, he got the verse. One take in, boom, come back out. What else you got next? You know how much pressure that is? Because I spent like probably 2 days making this beat. And now it's like, damn, you know, now I got to come up with another one. And then he's hitting you with all this philosophical greatness.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, OG, let me make the beat, though, because I can't talk to you and whip this shit up. Like, I'm sorry.
What did it mean to be one of the few people who's been on a UGK track of your age?
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I'm honored. It's hard to believe. The thing is especially for me, because it's telling people how much they inspire me, and like really, if you didn't know who they were when I first came out or whatever, it's like, man, please go listen to their music, because then you'll understand where I'm coming from. And again, UGK is from Port Arthur, small city like mine, and just seeing them be aggressive, unapologetically country, and then Pimp got the swag, he producing, he's singing. But Bun really with lyrical, like the lyrical matter, and I go back to the Murder verse, I think he was the first time that we were all like, oh yeah, we rap. And like, you can't take that from us. And then they kind of changed the narrative. So I can always go back to the Murder verse and be like, yeah, and he did that in one take though. Like that was like one long take. It wasn't no punching and shit. So it's like, yeah, man, we got it. So yeah, that's my proof and put when they be like, well, you know, Southern rap ain't never. I'm like, shit. Shit me.
The Dreamville sessions.
Yeah.
When did you get your golden ticket, and what'd you think when you pulled up?
Oh, shout out to you, Willie Wonka.
Yeah.
Nah, shit. Oh, well, we enter camp. We know the homies and shit.
Yeah.
So I just pulled up. I think it was like the second day that they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you didn't get a real invite?
No, I didn't.
Damn.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Wow, you snuck in.
Yeah.
Nah, I pulled up. It's a different kind of invite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, different kind of invite. But nah, man, just really going to chop it up with the homie because it's been a while since I actually seen them, and everybody on tour moving around, and even like just the environment was I like to see that many producers, that many rooms. Shout out to Tree Sound, Groove, Molly, but that many rooms, the production, the amount of rappers, the camaraderie, the amount of soul singers and musicians, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was, and then literally like everybody wants to work, and then you got the young artists that they trying to murder everything that they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
And the understanding is I understand why. Then you got some of the OGs that fell through. And it was just this cool vibe, man. And I think it was dope, man.
Yeah.
It was dope.
We ran into Cole a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, yo, how'd Chris Bosch's beat sound? And he was like, really, really good.
I'm telling you.
Really good.
Yo, Chris Bosch is actually a dope producer,
That's
bro.
awesome.
Yeah, like,
That's wild.
I was in Miami. Was at Danger Studio, and he played me. He got an artist. I can't remember his name, but he played me some of the production. And I was like, yo, this shit jamming, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's this concept, like, you know, you don't know. Like, maybe you just doing this for, like, for hobby reasons.
Right.
Like, nah, bro, you taking this shit dumb serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too serious.
I mean, serious enough to get a placement one day, and you'd be like, what the fuck? You know who else? Basketball, JaVale McGee.
Really?
This shit
Really?
jamming.
So just the really tallest guys? Like,
It seemed like that. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they hitting the MPC different.
right.
Like, velocity is some different, motherfucker. But no, bro, like his shit is super jamming.
Yeah. So when it came to this album here,
Yeah.
and again, you know, you produce one track and
One track,
let
Blue Flame
everyone
Ballet.
else do it.
Let's
Who gave you something where it was like so challenging that you were just like, your mind couldn't figure it out at first?
Danger, the Mississippi record.
Yeah.
I've actually freestyled that entire verse because it was between the jazziness of it, the bass line. Like I sat there and tried to write, and I just couldn't. I was like, man, I told my engineer Michael, man, just cue it up and let me just try to come up with like a cadence, a flow, and then just coming up with the words. I mean, obviously we add the ad libs in the end. The acronym for Mississippi I was able to come up with after I did the entire freestyle. But yeah, man, it was just like that was. But it was just so bouncy, and I knew I needed to be intricate, but there was no way I was gonna like write that intricacy or that free flowing feel. And so I got in there and I freestyled it.
So your first time up to New York that I knew was when you were at SOBs, I think, right?
That's when I got booed.
No, you got booted at Highline.
Oh, Highline. Oh, that's right.
But when you were at Highline, so like you were playing country shit.
Yes.
Which is incredible.
Thank you.
Still to this day.
Hey,
yeah.
that shit jamming.
Yeah.
I mixed and produced that motherfucker.
It's a great one.
It's knocking.
And so you get booed on that song,
Yeah.
and then so I want to talk about like what it felt like in that moment, but also what it felt like to come back and then fucking own Highline, and also to have Jay Electronica and Joel Ortiz both come to your defense in such like strong-minded ways.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be on that show anyway. That was like like spur of the moment. You know what I'm saying? Boom, bro, come through, jump on stage and shit. So it was a number of people that got booed before I got booed. The doors are opened up at 7. I got on stage at like 10:30 talking about country shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people definitely came there for Jay Electronica and Joel Ortiz.
But by the way, again, first person through the door. Like now you do that.
I mean, so what
different
happened?
story.
I mean, I had 2 songs. The footage you see me do country shit get booed. After that, I do Hometown Hero, boo, stop, claps happen. You don't see that footage though. I talk about that all the time. But for me, it was like I'm still representing. And then as a performer, it's like I don't care. Like I'm like, you got to hear the rest of the song.
Yeah.
And then there's options where you can become real frustrated, walk off. Like, nah, that wasn't my narrative. Like, man, I'm in New York and I'm performing country shit. Fuck, this is like, you know what I'm saying?
I honestly, I loved your energy up there. You were just like,
yeah, I don't.
You were
care.
like, you can boo me all you want.
I'm jumping.
Yeah.
I'm hard. Like, you gonna
Yeah.
hear this song.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's crazy. Yeah, that was an interesting night.
And then when you came back, what did that feel like?
Ah, man, it's love.
Or was it just regular?
No. It was different. It was
Yeah.
love. I mean, because one, you realize the boos weren't because you were saying what you were saying, because people were ready to see what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
Secondly, it was like that by that time they had time to digest the music, understand conceptually where I was coming from, and understand that this wasn't just one part. Like I had multiple songs that they were gonna be into, and then now we live. Like now we going up, and I had that same energy. We jumping around. And then it's love.
So, Son of Meridian in 2019. What do you think about how long this Southern run has been?
Man, it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful, man. I mean, literally, because I'm where I'm at now. There's so many times where I could have stopped. This shit might not have worked out. I would have been at home. Like, I was in a lot of interesting situations making beats where shit was happening behind me. I'm just keep making this beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord knows, man, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really blessed to be able to make music, to be a part of music, and to have somehow chipped out a space for myself as an artist to where people are going to remember me in some concept as far as
in time. Yeah.
Well, that's what the name about.
Yeah. But what do you think your legacy is at this point? Because your career's not over, but if you look at the last decade, how do you put it into context for yourself?
I think I've changed the narrative of what an underdog is. Or what? So the idea of like being like, yes, I'm an underdog, or yes, I come from a place that people aren't understanding of, and maybe they don't know about, but that don't mean you can't get to the top tier aspect. And then when you come from places where you might not have all the resources, you might not have all the opportunities, that makes you more of a hybrid. So you become great at more than one thing, right? And so for me, it's like I don't have to just make beats. I don't have to just rap. I don't have to just mix. I could play all these positions. I could choose one different times. I can stand aside, let another artist rap, and I make the beat, so vice versa. Or I can just learn something else in the music industry because I know how to sit back and study. And I think that's what my career has showed me. Like, man, I know how to study.
Yeah.
It's different.
So I know we have like 2 minutes left.
And I'm great.
But, and I know that you said that we can't talk about this.
We could try. I know what you're talking about.
Your YouTube habits are
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you currently watching on YouTube?
Well, yeah, I just recently, it's probably like 2-3 months ago, I was watching how like to make samurai swords and the whole like the work ethic and the whole, not even the strategy, but the history of it. And like, I don't know, it's like this thing where I was so at peace watching them like take years to like learn. And so last night I'm just going through and I'm watching like something about sushi. And I've never been so calm in my life watching people make food, and I feel like I had learned so much about life. And I don't want to mess his name up. You know the name.
Yeah, Hero.
Hero.
Yeah.
Look, I'm watching this like, man, I learned so much guidance like about working. And the man's like, well, he was like, well, the documentary came out, he was like 75 or something. He was like 80 or some shit. And he's still like there constructing these pieces for people, and you like reserve once like every other month you can reserve, and it's a small spot, but they take so much pride. It takes 10 years to like actually move on to just making the egg like sushi. Like you're not even prepping, you're not even in the front, you're in the back. 10 years. And I was like, man, the dedication to be great, I guess this shit is amazing.
So do you watch that and then think of yourself in that right there?
Hell yeah.
Like, does that make
You can't touch my snare. 10 years later, I got a snare for you.
But
That's not
in
even
terms of like,
hi-hats.
I can take 2 years to really refine my craft,
Yeah.
even though my fans out there are just like knocking for like more shit right away.
Yeah.
Do you feel a pressure now to follow up this brand new project with something before the year's over?
I mean, music has changed. Things have changed. The way people absorb music has changed. But me as an artist, and I was just having a conversation with one of my friends about that. Maya Bailey is one of those artists that I super respect. There's no way I would walk into a Maya Bailey studio and be like, man, I wish you would paint more this kind of stuff. I'm just waiting on Maya Bailey to drop paintings, because every time he drops, I'm like, damn, this is what I needed. I think music has become this thing where it's so easy to pick apart because, we got all these programs, your phone can do this, boom, boom, boom. But brushstroke of a painter, what art is, and the way you attack an actual canvas, I think music should be respected in that same way. But it's so easy to just use the shock value to put yourself out there, aside from being like a painter that does something you've never seen before. So for me, it's like, man, I'm going to paint how I want to paint. And I know some people may not understand in the moment, but if my life is speaking to me from that perspective, if I'm growing in that narrative, and I have to paint that way. And I just hope that you understand. And if you don't understand it now, maybe you understand it later.
Well, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you see this on Twitter, but by far, and we've had, just for this podcast alone, 260 something, guests up here. You are by far the most requested guest that we have ever been asked to have up here.
Yeah.
So congratulations on the new project.
Thank you, bro.
Congratulations on your whole career.
Appreciate it.
And we appreciate you coming up here because K.R.I.T is here.
Y'all the homies.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
We're like aging in reverse.
Yeah.
Everybody has their hairline. We kill it. I see y'all.
Thanks so much, K.R.I.T. Yeah. We appreciate you. Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of A Waste of Time with It's The Real. If people want to find out more about us, I'm Eric with the curly hair, you're Jeff with the glasses. Together, we are It's The Real, no apostrophe, no spaces. If people want to find out more about this podcast, it's called A Waste of Time with It's The Real. If people want to find out more about what's going on with us, our t-shirts, our newsletter, our everything, Jeff, where can they go?
You can always go to ItsTheReal.com, ItsTheReal.com. All of our old episodes and all of our new ones are available on all streaming platforms, including, but not limited to, Spotify, CastBox, Apple,
Spotify? SoundCloud?
What did I miss?
I don't know.
A bunch of them.
We're everywhere.
Wherever you're
YouTube.
listening to this, it's there. Go listen to our podcast there, here, wherever you are now. Also, we are on all social media, including Twitter at It's The Real, Instagram at It's The Real, Facebook at It's The Real.
Jeff, now is the time of the podcast where we love to shout out those people who are so good to us in spreading the word. Anybody who is on Team It's The Real. Jeff, who do you want to shout?
I want to shout out to people who've been instrumental in asking for this to happen.
That is, they are the battery in this machine.
Yes, they are the ones who keep this thing going. I want to shout out Be Sensible on Instagram. I also want to shout out Jordan Dreddy on Instagram, who have asked for Big K.R.I.T to be on the podcast. Be Sensible more than anybody. Be Sensible was asking on K.R.I.T's comments every single day.
On
numerous
Dutch's,
times.
on like Wally Sparks.
Yeah, everywhere, anytime, any.
I guess it worked.
Something worked.
They put it out into the universe. Jeff, I want to shout out Jordan Johnson of the USS Kearsarge, who is back on the mainland. Shout out to Jordan and shout out to his mother, Misty, both excellent fans of ours and had a long drive ahead of them with nothing but A Waste of Time with It's The Real locked and loaded in the iPod and ready to go. Shout out and welcome home to Jordan Johnson of the USS Kearsarge.
I do want to say welcome home, but a lot has changed. AJ Calloway is no longer invited on our podcast.
As always, guys, not for real, for real.
Sure.
We'll see you guys next week.